Dun 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 dun, believe it or not, Room 5 is the best. Let's take a look at what we do. We're mostly grade 3s, but some are grade 2s. We are the best. Believe it or not, we're the best.
Hello, welcome to our Room 5 radio show.
My name is Sarah.
And my name is Gabriel.
Today we are interviewing Mr. Hinrichsen.
Hello, Mr. Hinrichsen.
Welcome to our show.
Mr. Hinrichsen is the gym teacher at our school.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Which languages do you speak?
Only one as far as I know. English.
Do you have a pet?
I have several pets. I have lots of fish, and I have a snake. A ball python. Her name is Regis.
What is your favorite children's book? Why?
My favorite children's book would be, it's called Mr. Muggs. It was a book that I read when I was a child, and it's about a dog who is very energetic, loves to run around, and is always running out of the backyard. And the boy, who was his owner, had to run around the neighborhood, chase the dog down, and bring the dog back home. And that reminds me of me when I was a child, because we had a very energetic dog as well, who used to rip the chain right off the wall. Very strong dog. It was a farm dog that we got, and I used to run around and have to chase the dog and bring the dog back home. I'd grab it by the chain, and the dog would just drag me along the curb. So I got several scars on my knees from being dragged around by this big dog. But I loved her. So that's my story. Mr. Muggs was the name of the book.
What was the hardest thing you had to do at school? Why was it hard for you?
The hardest thing I had to do at school? Well, when I was a student, I wasn't a very conscientious student. I wasn't a great student. I didn't like to work very hard. I was an athlete, and I loved sports, and being in a classroom was very hard for me because I loved to move around, I loved to play games. So I found it hard to concentrate. And my grandmother was probably the most important person in my life as far as my education went. I wasn't a very good student, even up into high school. And my grandmother made me a bet that if I graduated from high school and got good enough grades, that she would, I think it was $100 I think she was going to give me. So that kind of inspired me to study and do really well on my exams. And I did. I did very well. I worked very hard. And it was more for her too, because she was sick at the time as well. And at that time, no one in my family had yet gone to university. So I was the first person in my family. There were 5 kids in my family. I had 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters. And I was the first to go to university and get a degree. So that was the toughest time for me.
Tell us something that is special to you.
Something that is special to me. Well, my family, I think, is very special to me. I have a big family. We used to go camping every summer for our summer holidays. We used to go up north, and we did have this huge tent. There were 7 of us, plus a cat and a dog. So we'd all be sleeping in this huge tent. It was probably bigger, well, it was probably as big as this room. And it had 2 rooms to it. It had a kitchen, and it had the sleeping quarters. So we would carry this huge giant tent, and we'd set it up and all kinds of poles. It was an army tent. So we would all 7 of us, struggling to put up this tent, and then we'd camp for 2 weeks at a provincial park called Killbear Provincial Park. It's just north of Parry Sound. And that was a very special time for me. I kind of grew up. And I have the fondest memories of getting up early in the morning and going fishing on the rocks and catching breakfast with my parents. Weren't very big fish, but my mother always seemed to want to clean them and eat them, and my dad loved it. So that was a very special time for me.
Do you have any children?
No, I don't have any children. I'm not married.
What is your most...
But I do have a lot of children. I have almost 200 children right here at Davisville MPSD that I enjoy.
What is your most favorite and least favorite food?
My most favorite is probably chicken wings. Barbecue chicken wings. My least favorite, I would have to say, is probably asparagus. Which is probably not good. But I do eat other vegetables. You should always eat your vegetables. They're good for you.
If you could do anything in the world, what would you choose to do? Why?
I could do anything in the world. I love to fly, and I always wanted to get my pilot's license. The only problem with that is it was very expensive. It's very expensive to get your pilot's license, and that was always a dream of mine. Why? I love to travel. 2 years ago, I had a year off, and I flew around the world. I was in South Africa, I was in Australia, I was in New Zealand, Hawaii. So I went to some really exotic places, and I got to fly a lot. I think I probably had about 25 or 30 different flights on an airplane. So it was really quite exciting. So I really enjoyed that. So one of these days, because it's always been a dream of mine, is to get my pilot's license.
Where were you born?
Where was I born? I was born in Cape Town, South Africa. My family came to Canada when I was 5 years old. So I've lived pretty much most of my life here in Canada. I grew up in Mississauga, and then moved here to Toronto when I was probably about 25.
What is the best thing about your job? What is not so good about your job?
Oh, the best part of my job is getting to see you guys run around and have fun and laugh and keep you fit and in good shape. Teach you about staying fit and enjoying hobbies that I love, like sports like soccer and hockey and football, basketball, all the sports. And just helping you to see the importance of being fit and taking care of your body and making sure that what you put into your body is good for you. What's the least favorite part of my job? Paperwork. Paperwork. Because you think that, you feel kind of hard. I feel bad about disciplining students. I don't like doing it, but it has to be done sometimes. Not too often, which is nice. So that's the tough part.
Why do you like to collect? Why? What do you like to collect? Why?
What do I like to collect? Plants. I like to keep a lot of plants in my apartment. I have a lot of plants here at school. When I was teaching grade 3 last year, and I've been teaching grade 6 for the last 7 or 8 years, my classroom was full of plants, so I love to collect plants and take care of them. At home, when I was living in a house, I always was working in the backyard, cutting grass, taking care of the garden, watering the plants. So I love to collect plants.
Tell us something that most people might
Thank you for coming on our show.
It was my pleasure. I enjoyed that. This is my first official interview. I feel like a celebrity. Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed this.
We really enjoyed learning more about you. Bye.
Thank you.